Hello, and welcome to another episode of SomerKnits. Hello, and welcome to episode 29 of the SomerKnits podcast. My name is Summer, and I am a knitter based in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I live here with my husband, my 2 kids, our dogs, and chickens. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. And if you are new here, thank you so much for joining me and giving my podcast a chance. For those of you who watched my last episode, I am curious if you prefer the bite-sized chunk size episodes or if you prefer the more hour-ish timeline episodes. So I'm thinking of bite size as anything under 30 minutes. I don't know that I'm going to get too much shorter than that consistently because I feel like I always have a lot to say. But I'm just curious, do you prefer shorter episodes more often or longer episodes more like every other week? So I would love if you would share that with me in the comments. Just trying to find my rhythm now that school's back in session. Pardon me, I need a drink. I think I swallowed some fluff. Yeah, that was super. Trying to find my rhythm now that school's back in session because I love doing the episodes and I'm just curious what you'd prefer because I think I could work it either way. Like film every week even though I'd have a little bit less to share, or film every other week and have slightly longer episodes. So in that vein, I'm going to try and keep today's episode short-ish and we'll see how it ends up. But I do want to start with works in progress because I don't have any finished objects to show. I have things that are almost finished, but not entirely finished. And yes, I'm stuck under a dog right now. So I can't move around and I can't put my hands all the way down in my lap, which feels super awkward. But otherwise, he has been pacing around the room and driving me up the wall. So we're going to work with this for now, hopefully. My first work in progress that I want to share is one that you guys have seen before. It is in my Sassy Sacks drawstring bag. I got it from Sassy Sacks on Etsy, and it is just, it's got a pretty purple lining. It's just a basic drawstring bag, but it is big enough for a summer shirt or small sweater. Can hold a number of skeins. But anyway, this is my Anker summer shirt, and it's a little bit tangled up, apparently. Let's find the back. I think this is the back. Anyway, so I have gotten all the way to where the skein begins self-striping again on the body. So if you remember, it started with pink, faded to purple, and goes self-striping at the end. And I used the end, so I was pulling from the outside of the skein to do the cuffs on the sleeves, and then went back to finish the body. I'm loving how it's striping up on the bottom. This was a 200 gram skein of the Katia Fair Cotton Craft, which is 100% organic cotton. That 200 grams gives you 678 yards. And in order to figure out the length for the body, I have been weighing the remaining yarn as I go. So I put a marker in at 50 grams remaining. Now I'm looking for it. Oop, all the way up here. Okay. So when I had 50 grams remaining, I put in a stitch marker. And every few rounds now, I weigh the ball and see what I have left so that I'll know when to start the ribbing at the bottom. I still have 25 grams of yarn, so I've got a little ways to go before I need to start the ribbing based on my calculated amount that it uses per round. So I've kind of figured up the ribbing is 10 rounds, and then I need a lot left for an Italian bind off. So I am compensating for that in figuring up what I need to do the bottom. But I'm very excited that this is almost done because I'm loving the drape. You can see that this yarn has fabulous drape. It has not been a rough cotton to work with. It's super soft. It's been really gentle on my hands. I haven't had any issues. I know a lot of people are bothered by working with 100% cotton because it's stiff, and I have not had any issues with the Katia Fair Cotton Craft. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I think this is going to be a great transitional piece. I think it'll be great over the summer too, but it is hard to wear much knitting here in the summer, even if it's cotton. So I can make it work if I know I'm going to be inside in the air conditioning all day. But I think this is going to be a great transitional piece. I love the way the Anker's patterns fit across the shoulders. I've talked about, in relation to some other things that I've made, that I have really short shoulders. So that means that from my upper bust, which is measured right below your armpits, basically at the top of your bust line, from my upper bust to the top of my shoulders is a much shorter measurement than it is on a lot of people. Like this stops me from buying certain kinds of bras because the straps don't adjust short enough. That's just a fact of life. But it means that in some sweater patterns, the yoke depth is too low. And we saw that in the Chantilly cardigan, where I could have taken at least an inch out of each side probably, but the front and back of the yoke to bring that V-neck up to where it sits better on me. Because right now that V-neck sits pretty low on me. So the Anker's pattern, because of the round yoke ribbing, hugs in at the shoulders. And I know that Jonathan from Jonathan's Days has mentioned this before as well, that it's just very flattering on the shoulders because of how that ribbing hugs in at the shoulders. So I did the size large, in the Anker summer shirt pattern, the cast on number for the size medium and the size large is the same. So I did the size large, but I only did 4 repeats of the ribbing section in order to make it lay in the same place on me that it does in the model photos for the pattern. So if you look at, having to move backwards from what I see, if you look at the model photos, you'll find where the ribbing rests on her, and then it switches to the raglan increases as opposed to the round yoke increases. And I wanted the same look. I felt like adding a whole nother round, section of ribbing would have gone too low across the bust line and not had the same look. So because of that, I did 4 sections of the ribbing and increases, and then I switched to the raglan, but I calculated out what I would need to do to get to the stitch count for the size large body. So it's almost like having a size medium in the shoulders and then using the raglan increases to increase to the size large. But actually the cast on numbers are identical for medium and large, and it has to do with how you do the increases in the yoke. So this is my size large Anker summer shirt, and I can't wait to show you how it fits. My try-ons have made me really excited about this particular shirt. My next work in progress was the main focus of my last episode. It is the Saglin pre-knit. Saglin pullover is a pattern by AilbÍona McLochlainn. And I have finished the body and bound off last night. So I'm very excited about this particular sweater. It is made, the pattern is written to be able to use Nutiden, which is an unspun yarn. Another example of an unspun yarn would be like Plutalopi, which is an Icelandic unspun yarn. But you can see that if you're not familiar with Nutiden, Um, it's very fragile to work with because it just pulls right apart because it is not spun. But once it's knit up, it's very strong, but still very light and fluffy and feels amazing. So I am holding a strand of Nutiden with a strand of undyed suri alpaca. So these are the colors. And then when they are knit together, you get a bit of a marling effect, which I think gives the sweater a lot of visual interest because it does have a very large stockinette section. It's just a big stockinette sweater with incredible shaping at the shoulders. But I think the marling of the two, it's so subtle, but it adds just a little bit of visual interest to the look of the sweater. But it also gives me that lighter gray color that I really love. The combination of the light as air Nutiden and the super soft suri alpaca is incredible. I can't say enough good things. This pattern, Saglan, in case you didn't see my last episode or don't remember, it is written for 2 gauges. There is a sport weight gauge and an Aran weight gauge. So for the Aran weight gauge, they actually recommend holding 2 strands of Nutiden if you're going to do Nutiden. But I wanted 1 strand of Nutiden and 1 strand of the suri alpaca, and I was able to easily get gauge. It's light and fluffy. It weighs almost nothing, but I can tell it's going to be warm. It's incredible. So the whole premise behind Saglin is that it is a combination of a saddle shoulder and a raglan. So you can see how the shaping comes and curves, and it just, in my try-ons, I'm super thrilled with the fit across the shoulders, which is, as you know, something that I struggle with. It's supposed to be oversized. I believe the women's sizing recommendations are 4 to 6 inches of positive ease, I want to say. There are modifications in the pattern for how to knit this for a more masculine body. And the ease recommendation changes to 2 inches, and there are, I believe there's some lengthening in the yoke and stuff. I do appreciate that because it's a unisex pattern, there are specific recommendations for steps to give a better fit to a masculine torso, and then how to fit a feminine torso. So I appreciate the thought that AilbÍona has put into this pattern. There's also 2 necklines in the pattern, and I will be picking up and opting for the crew neck. I just don't find myself reaching for turtleneck sweaters. It just doesn't get cold enough here for long enough for them to be of much use to me. I like the breathability of a crew neck, having things not on my neck. I'll be doing the sleeves as they're written in the pattern. I believe they have a long ribbing like the body does. And I'm just really thrilled with this particular sweater. I feel like I was a little frustrated with the Nutiden when I first started because it was my very first time knitting with Nutiden. I had only swatched with it before and never actually started a project with it. But once I got past all the increases and started to really get a feel for the yarn, when I got to the body and the round, it just flew. It was just amazing. It felt so nice to work with. I really have loved the experience of working with this yarn, and I'm so glad that I did, and I'm excited to use the other colors that I have bought. But this has not been released yet. This is still a pre-knit, but you should watch you can follow the hashtag. I think most people are using Saglin pullover on Instagram. I think it comes out in the next month or so. But you should definitely watch for that because I think that a lot of thought and careful planning has gone into this pattern. And if you are looking for a good neutral, a good basic, but want something that the construction is interesting, or there's just that little bit different that makes it stand out, I think the Saglan is going to be an excellent choice. So when I have the exact release date, I will definitely post that. But Saglan Pullover by AilbÍona McLochlainn, definitely keep an eye out for that one. And I'm loving the whole concept of a pre-knit, by the way, where you get to start the pattern. The requirements are not heavy, and there's no pressure to actually have it finished. It's not a test knit because, in theory, all the issues with the pattern have already been found and updated and dealt with. The pre-knit is simply to have a variety of projects going in different yarns, different body types, all available to look at in different stages. They don't have to be finished when the pattern goes live. So you can definitely find my project in Ravelry, because that is like the only requirement really, that I post some progress so that when the pattern is released, it's there for people to see. Who knows? Mine might actually be done when it's released, but I'm excited about a couple of other things. So if it does get put on the back burner, I know I at least have the body done and I can put up my try-on photos from that. My last work in progress for this episode is brand new. I started it actually so that I would have something small that I could carry around and just knit in the round, and it was a long enough knitting project that I didn't need to worry about bringing multiple projects, but easy enough that I didn't have to think about it at all. So what did I do? I cast on another Musselburgh. It is in a Halloween-themed yarn by Area 51 Fibres. The Skeins kind of a mess. It's been in my bag. But it's a self-striping yarn. You can see all the colors there. So this will be another striped Musselburgh. It is a sock weight. So I started it, and last weekend I ended up taking my kids to a performance of the Tulsa Symphony Orchestra out at our ballpark, and they were doing a decade of Disney. So they played along. They played excerpts from the scores for a variety of Disney movies covering about a decade of time. And it was things like Bolt and Frozen and Tangled and Big Hero 6, Moana. There were just a whole bunch of movies that my kids have grown up on. So I was like, we should just go. So I got tickets, and we had seats, but we also did the thing where you could take a blanket and go down and spread out and just sit on the grass in the lawn in front of the orchestra with the big screen behind them and just relax and enjoy the music. And it was an amazing night, and the kids had so much fun, but it allowed me to get past all the increases for the Musselburgh. And since then, I've carried it around a little bit to work on. You can see that I'm to the point where I have it on my 16-inch circulars and I'm just motoring away. But the reason I needed an easy carry-around project, if any of you have heard of Winfield or the Walnut Valley Music Festival, it is the third weekend in September every year. And we love to go. COVID canceled it 2 years ago. So that's why last year's mug says live again on it. They had it virtually. They had what they called Winfield 48.5 virtually. So then they had Winfield 49 last year. And so this year is the 50th anniversary of the Walnut Valley Music Festival. It is in Winfield, Kansas, if I didn't already say that. And a lot of people go and camp. It's a 4-day festival. It's got the National Flat Picking Championship is there. I mean, it's a bluegrass and folk festival. So if you've heard of it, I'd love to know. And absolutely, if anybody's going, tell me. Last year there was a yarn vendor, so I'm interested to see if she's there again this year. It was hand-dyed yarn. But we're all very excited. We love to go. We finally feel pretty good about going and camping and attending multiple days of the festival. Last year we just went up for one day. We just drove up Saturday morning and stayed the whole day and then drove home. But this year we're going for multiple days, and we're back in the campgrounds, and we're just so excited to be going. So if anybody's going to Winfield, or if you've heard of Winfield, I just really am curious, because I always wonder if my other interests besides knitting overlap with anybody else's out there. Or maybe you're just a bluegrass fan. But my absolute favorite musician, artist, singer, whatever you want to call him, John McCutcheon, does 4 shows at the festival. He'll do 2 Friday, 2 Saturday, and I will be at every single one of them. But then there's other people there that my kids love to go see. A few years ago, Jig Jam was there, and they're back again this year. My husband usually likes to catch Bing Futch. He's fun. And I mean, Tom Chapin is there. There's just a whole bunch of really big names if you're into bluegrass and folk music, which I realize is not everybody's thing, but I'm just super curious if anybody else who watches my podcast happens to be into that. And you might have seen on the bottom of the mug they're numbered, which is pretty cool. Hopefully I'm not rushing through this all too much. I am trying to find a balance between sharing everything I want to share and just dithering on too much. I don't know. It's time for acquisitions, though, because that was all of the works in progress that I really have for this episode. Everything that's actually seen progress. That is the dog snuffling and kicking. So anyway, acquisitions. I only have a couple of acquisitions because I've been actively attempting to resist buying more stuff after the Fiber Festival and all of those acquisitions. If there's a yarn vendor this weekend at the Bluegrass Festival, I will let myself get a special skein. Who knows? Maybe it'll be another Musselburgh. But I will allow myself that. Otherwise, the item that I will be looking for the most there, because they have a lot of handcrafters, is going to be a handmade piece to add to our everyday dishes. So if you've been around a while, you might have heard that we are converting our everyday dishes to 100% handmade. But that is a time-consuming and expensive process. So I only buy one piece at a time. Yes, that means absolutely everything in the cabinet is mismatched, but in the best, most beautiful way. Because the mugs we use on a daily basis are all handmade, and I can tell you the maker on almost all of them. You know, the plates that we use, the bowls that we use, everything caught my eye for a reason. Like, it brings me joy. Selecting a bowl is not just about grabbing a bowl out of the cabinet, but about choosing a piece of art to enjoy my meal with. And I love that. So that's been really fun. So last year I came home with a couple of pieces, plus some hand-carved wooden spoons and spreaders and things, and that was a lot of fun too. But yarny acquisitions, because you're probably here for the yarn. When I ordered that self-striping Halloween yarn from Area 51 Fibres, the whole reason I was on their website to begin with is because they posted an Advent skein. So a 24-stripe self-striping skein, and their theme was tea with the Bridgertons. And I had been going back and forth looking at different Advent skeins because I really wanted to do that this year. I really wanted to have an Advent project that I actually knit on every day, but I didn't want to do the kind where you open a brand new yarn and then immediately knit with it, because I have a tendency to want to reorder the mini skeins in an Advent series in order to best suit like how I would want them to flow, but also because that's a lot more knitting. If you are trying to knit up an entire mini skein, it's probably doable most days, but that's a lot more knitting than just trying to knit the stripes on 2 socks from a self-striping sock yarn. So I ordered the Tea with the Bridgertons self-striping Advent skeins from Area 51 Fibres. if you ordered those and you did not open your package and you don't want to see what they look like, you might jump ahead about 1 minute. I am sorry for the crinkling. I'm going to get them out real quick. This is Tea with the Bridgertons. So I opted for the contrasting mini skein for toes and heels. And then I have the self-striping. It's nice because it's 2 separate skeins, so you can cast on both socks and do both at once and have your little contrast. Because of the nature of the self-striping skeins for the Advent, I will either cast on a toe up sock or I will plan to do a cut in heel, and I haven't decided which. But this is my Advent skein. I will not cast those on until December 1st. So for now, they are just staying in their protective plastic bag, and we'll be waiting for that Christmas season. My other acquisitions, I actually got 2 Southern Skeins boxes for August due to a mix-up. So I'm going to share both of them with you. I ended up with both the knot sock and the sock box from August. So the knot sock box, which was the one sent in error, but I still love, is the Going Nuts. So it's a squirrel themed bag with little hot pink acorns. And the yarn is the Southern DK, which is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. And the color is called Going Nuts. You can see that there's some pinky purple stuff going on. It's more to the inside of this skein, but you can see it on the outside of this one. There's green, there's blue, it's bright. I'm kind of thinking about something for my son out of these, or for both the kids. I haven't really figured it out. It could be really fun mittens, or it could be really fun like DK weight house socks. It's bright and fun and happy, and I think that they would enjoy that. But I hadn't really gotten all the way to exactly what was I going to make with it. So I've actually recorded this section twice, so now all of the little things that came in the bag are kind of dumped out around me. So I'm going to try and do this in a cohesive manner. But the bonus gift for this one was folding scissors. So I actually ended up with 2 pairs of folding scissors because they were the bonus gift in the Deluxe sock box as well. So 2 pairs of those, which is awesome because I'm trying to put together tiny notions pouches for each of my project bags, so that I'm not taking a notions pouch out of a bag and putting it in a new one and then forgetting I don't have one and ending up somewhere and needing scissors or a darning needle or stitch markers and not having them. Trying to avoid that. So putting together more smaller notions pouches instead of one giant notions pouch. And so far that's been going really well. But this box also came with, actually both did, a sticker that said, all you need is yarn is all you need. And I love that. It came with a fusion green and white stash tea bag, a beach grass Happy Hands hand cream, a mini eucalyptus in eucalyptus, a root beer candy, because there's always a little candy in there, and a little hot pink acorn stitch marker. So there's always a stitch marker, there's always a tea, and there's always a candy. And recently there's almost always been a hand cream and a wool wash, which is awesome. These are really nice for sticking with Christmas gifts and things when you're trying to explain to people how you want them to wash your hand knit gift. But they are also handy for travel and just to have around and to try the different scents that Stash makes, or Euclid makes. I also like the Soak wool wash is really nice. But I love those little Euclid samples. So this was the bag that came in error. So I'm just going to go ahead and call it gifted because the correct one was sent, and then due to some shipping delays, just finally showed up yesterday. And this one I'm really, really excited about. So this was the bag I really wanted from August. And the theme is turtles. And you can see there's these gorgeous turtles on the fabric of the project bag. But then the yarn itself is just so amazing. So the colorway is called Coral Reef. And it's got a little coordinating mini with it that's called Sea Turtle. And I just love it. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, it's got to be a top. It's got to be a top. So I'm really thinking about casting on the Scotch Broom. And I know I've showed this pattern before in relation to other yarns, but I just think that this would be an amazing way to do that. It's actually a good one for variegated yarns because that broomstick lace at the top is just a great way to showcase the colors, but also kind of break up the pooling. And then I don't mind if it pools a bit in the body down there. I need to read through the rest of the pattern because what I want to figure out is if I can use the contrasting or coordinating minis to just do the cast on for the neckline and the bind off. I don't see that. What I don't know is, do the sleeves just fall where they fall once you've completed that section, or is there any kind of picking up and binding them off again? There may not be, but I could use it for the cast on of the neckline, and I could use it for the ribbing at the bottom, just to have that nice solid band for the ribbing. Because I have 2 of the mini skeins, I should have 40 grams worth of minis, so 160 yards, and I think that would be plenty for the ribbing. And then I have 400 yards in each of the main skeins, so 800 yards. And for my size, I think based on the ease I wanted, I needed closer to 700 yards. So that extra 100 yards would allow me to add a tiny bit of length because it's a little bit cropped for me. But also, I would just keep trying it on until it hit exactly where I wanted it to hit. I think that this would be an amazing shirt. I love it. So this one also came with a ukulele and a tea and a root beer candy and scissors and all the wonderful things, another yarn sticker, the whole pouch of goodies. And this was the sock box. If you were interested in any of the Southern Skeins sock or not sock subscription boxes, you don't have to subscribe for an extended period of time. You can try just one box. The boxes start at $25, depending on how many skeins you want and if you want a project bag or if you want the deluxe item. I have a referral code. I have a referral link and a discount code that are down in the show notes if you're interested. I do purchase my monthly box. This month, I ended up with a bonus box just due to a mix-up. But my boxes are not sponsored. I pay for them with my own money. I just happen to have a referral link and a discount code because I wanted to be able to share that with you all. I do get a very small amount of money if someone uses the referral link to purchase, but you are under absolutely no obligation to do that. The discount code will get you the discount even if you do not use the referral link. It's absolutely okay. I believe it's a 15 or 20% off. And I do not believe it's limited to your first purchase. I believe you can continue to use it each time. So go ahead and give that a try if you're interested in trying a really fun subscription box. They are hand-dyed in Florida in the U.S. and hand-sewn project bags. And I love these project bags because I can stuff a bunch of them into my backpack at once. They're great for when a sweater is just starting and I want to just carry around the one skein. They're great for Musselburghs. They're great for socks. I use them for all kinds of things. So very handy little project bags and a whole summer top. I mean, I didn't even show it as a whip, but my pedal party crop still fits the whole top. plus the yarn still fits in one of these drawstring project bags by Southern Skeins. So they're handy to have. And while I love structured project bags, I find that these are so easy to stuff into a purse or a backpack or whatever without taking up extra space. My perception is that I talked really fast and flew through a lot of this episode. So if I did talk too fast, I apologize for that, and just let me know and I will try and slow down next time. Your feedback is always welcome. Constructive but kind criticism is also always welcome. If you did enjoy the content, I would really appreciate if you gave the show a thumbs up. It really helps the algorithm on YouTube, and it's kind of a saturated market right now. So being able to be seen by new people, be able to be found is difficult. So if you're willing to give the podcast a thumbs up, it is always very much appreciated. If you are just here for the knitting content, then thank you so much for joining me. I am going to get into less really life chat and more book chat. So a bit of life, but I mean, I think I already gave a lot of the life update with going to the symphony and the fact that we are going to the Walnut Valley Music Festival, better known as Winfield. So I would just like to chat about books. And I know a lot of knitters are also voracious readers, but what I really want to chat about is audiobooks. I consume audiobooks like some people consume water. I need audiobooks in my daily life. I listen to a book when I'm driving, if I'm the only one in the car. I listen to audiobooks while I clean the house, while I fold laundry, while I pick up at home, because it helps me to stay focused. And I find if I put on a TV show or a movie, then I'm stopping to watch the screen. Whereas if I am listening to an audiobook, I can just stick my phone in my pocket and have it playing and move from room to room without hesitating, and so I get more done. I also find at work, if I am working on something that's strictly numbers, I work in the accounting field, so if I am doing data entry that's pretty much all numbers, I will listen to an audiobook and I find that my error rate goes down, so my accuracy goes up. I focus better, so I get done quicker. I'm more efficient. So I guess I just need that distractible side of my brain to be engaged. I do not do well with nonfiction books. I really need there to be a plot. So when people talk about books they've read in their podcasts, I tend to take notes about what people have liked, and that has helped me to find some new ones. But I'm always looking for more because I blow through them so quickly. So I would love your recommendations in the comments based on kind of some of the things I tell you about what I've enjoyed and what I haven't. So hopefully this will help. I am currently listening to book 5 of the Warded Man series by Peter V. Brett. It's called The Core, and books 1 through 4 were very interesting. They were pretty engaging. It is fantasy and it's a little out there. But book 5 got really weird for a bit and has taken me longer to get through. And I'm finally 5 hours from finishing it. It's a 30-hour audiobook. But yeah, it got a little bizarre there for a while. But I've enjoyed the series overall. I'm also working my way through the Wheel of Time series, but once again, very slowly. I listen to all of my audiobooks on the Libby app, and I have no idea what I've done with my phone. So I use my local library to check out books, and because of that, you only have 2 weeks if there's a hold on the book, and you cannot renew for another 2 weeks. You just have to place another hold, and then when your turn comes up again, you get a notification. So I forget if I'm on book 3 or book 4. My history should tell me. So I'm on book 4, The Shadow Rising, and it is a 41-hour audiobook, and I am 2/3 of the way through it, and my time lapsed, and I had to put another hold on it. So it's taking me a while to get through that series. I also enjoy young adult books sometimes. I decided on a lark, because I like the movie, to listen to the Princess Diaries. Very different from the movies, by the way. Like, way more slightly older teenager thought processes than the movies. A lot more focus on sex, which I did not realize. So interesting books, but different than what I was expecting. I also like humorous audiobooks. I like Janet Evanovich, and I always listen to, if she comes out with any of her, like One for the Money, Two for the Dough, any of those new ones. I think she's up to book 28 or something. Those are funny. And recently I listened to, it was my second time listening to it actually, Dangerous Minds, which is one of her newer series. It's only the second one in that series, but it is pretty funny. So I like all of her stuff. I enjoyed the Sarah J. Maas books that I've read. I've not finished all of her books. I have a couple more holds on things of hers at the library, but I did the whole Court of Thorn and Roses series, and I've done the Glass Castle series, and I have a hold on the Crescent City series, so that hopefully I can read those soon. But other ones I've enjoyed recently, I listened to, on the recommendation of one of the ladies from We Share Needles, I listened to The Once and Future Witches, which was really good. It was very different from what I usually listen to, but I very much enjoyed it. And that's by Alex E. Harrow. And it was good. It was really good. I listened to Cold Bones, the newest Kathy Reichs book. If you were a fan of the Bones TV series, she's the author that the show is loosely based on. So the character's name is the same, and the character's occupation is the same. Nothing else is the same. So it's best to just like divorce the two in your minds completely. The books and the show, not related. So I started listening to those books years ago when I was having to actually check out physical CDs from the library to listen to them. So I listen to a lot of them out of order, but nowadays, as she comes out with new ones, I listen to them in order. And I've done my best to listen to most of those in order. And I enjoy those quite a bit also. So I listen to a wide variety of things. I don't do well with nonfiction because I don't find that it engages me very well. I do read on my Kindle, and I try and keep what I'm reading separate from what I'm listening to. Sometimes I will read something first and then listen to it. I did that with the Outlander series. I had read those years ago, like in the early 2000s. And then listened to them again, I don't know, sometime in the 2012 to 2014 range. And then when they started filming the series, I listened to the Outlander books again because they're just that good. And the reader is exceptional. A good reader makes all the difference in a good audiobook. So that is also important to me. I had a hard time at first with the male reader for the Wheel of Time series, and still that one kind of grates on me occasionally, but I think I've really gotten used to it. So I feel like that was a whole lot of word vomit about audiobooks, but I can sum it all up with, I am constantly looking for recommendations for books, and I would love to hear about what you're reading and what you enjoyed about it, if you're into audiobooks, what you like in a reader, what books you have enjoyed listening to. I don't really find that nonfiction distracts and engages me the same way fiction does, but we'll see. I mean, if there's something that you really think was amazing to listen to, then I really want to hear about it. And maybe I'll try it and it won't be my thing, but I'll have tried something new, and that is always worthwhile. So yeah, share with me what you're into, if you listen to audiobooks or not. I just kind of really want to hear about that. And hopefully it was okay to spend a bit of time during the podcast on books and music festivals and things. I never know like how much people want to hear beyond the knitting about personal goings on and things happening that are specific to me, as opposed to just specific to the yarn and the knitting and the fiber community. I have still been spinning on the purple bat that I started, that I've posted some pictures of on Instagram. And when I get farther into that, I will show it on the podcast. I'm not going to spend a lot of time focusing on spinning, but I do want to share what I'm doing with that. And then when it's washed and finally ready to be knit up, I definitely want to share that, because while I have been spinning for a few years, I have almost never actually knit up what I have spun. So that is like a goal, is to finish the yarn, ply the yarn, wash it, get it to where it is knittable, and then actually make some finished objects from my hand spun, and not just have the hand spun be the finished object. So goals. It's good to have goals, right? Feel free to share your goals with me. Do you spin? What are you up to? Maybe you are 100% sweaters all the time and you have no intention of doing anything else, and that's okay too. But I'm just always interested to hear what you all are up to. So thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you being here. Until next time, whether it's next week or a couple weeks from now, we shall see. But take care, and I hope that you are working on something that brings you a lot of joy and just have some peace in your life right now.